Yeah, that's interesting, like, as you mentioned, like, relational is how I make people feel. Mhm. And transactional is like, what can I get?
What can I get? What do I have to do?
Yeah,
Where do I
because
get
like,
my
it's really for me, I'll speak for myself, like, it challenges the paradigm I'm currently living in, like, perhaps challenging my identity of who I am. Because I could say, like, "Hey, I gotta pay the bills, right? I gotta make a living. I gotta take care of my family." What are you talking about making people how you know, how they feel? Like, who cares? Like, this is the way the world is.
Mhm,
Like, it's dog eat dog. Like, if you don't get your own, then you're gonna be on the street. What do you say to that? For those that are like, "What are you talking about, Summer? Why should I care about how I make other people feel? I I
mm,
need I need to pay the bills right now."
mhm. I guess I would ask them how that makes them feel
Well, for
to have
me,
to pay the
frustrated,
bills.
stressed, overwhelmed, right? Irritated, annoyed, maybe resentful. Then imagine like life would be like this, my dreams being dashed. I thought this was the American dream,
Mhm,
but I'm end up working long hours and having to, be strong, stuff everything down and push forward, power through.
mhm.
There's no time for feeling.
No, and then when they get divorced and they don't have a children or a wife anymore because 'cause they've been working 7 days a week, 40 hours a day, then I
Yeah.
wonder how they feel.
So how do we, kind of mix that together? The idea that came through for me is right livelihood or pursuing a purpose and a passion that leaves people in the environment better, right?
Mhm.
It's like what am I contributing to, right? Am I taking all the time, or what is the vision and mission of the company or organization I work for? Where's my North Star, right? Perhaps making a living combined with making people feel great is a possibility of both, especially if I'm living in a capitalistic system and society.
Yeah. Well, I guess I mean, it goes back to supply and demand too, I guess. It's what people want. It's what people need once they recognize what it is that they might really want.
So I guess that's the key question is what do I need?
Mm,
And we haven't been educated to know what we need.
no. We only kind of do what everyone else is doing often. At least I know when I asked my mom, "Oh, why did you have kids?" She said it's because everyone else was doing it. Not to fault that. I mean, how do we know what to do unless we have people and mentors that show us what to do? We don't know, especially when we're young. That's what we're guided by is the culture that we live in. And
Hmm.
so if so many of us are burnt out, adrenal fatigued, sick, I'm not sure money and is worth a lot. So when it comes down to feeling that way, maybe we start to look for new ways of doing things which are more relational. Hmm, if I don't want to be burnt out and working all the time, then what are we going to do? And I know my friend Kathy and Marco and Victoria, they have a beautiful son. And he's like, hey, mom, I'm really thinking about a multi gen house, multi generational. So maybe we're going back to that. And I think there's a reason why people got away from it in the first place. Too many triggers, parents telling you what to do, those kinds of things. And now maybe this um, where
Hmm.
it's getting too expensive to live in a single house where there used to be one person paying the bills, usually the dad, and now there's two, um, and sometimes each parent has more than one job. Maybe it's like, oh, how do we go back now to working more together versus living in these isolated units, and maybe that's a way of us going back to being more relational,
Mm,
valuing that. I don't know.
mm. Yeah, we'll see, right? But definitely I see that though. And it does make sense where if if the cost of living is going up and let's say I'm a student, I'd be living at home, right? More likely than not for a longer time. Or even then, like let's say it keeps going up. Like I think we'll have more people living together in communes or community living. And just like how we spoke about last week about AI, all this commotion about, oh my God, it's gonna take over all our jobs and it's gonna think like us. And well, actually, AI is great at processing data, but it doesn't have empathy. And there's a
No.
few other things that it doesn't have that makes us human. So actually, AI is really allowing us to be more human
Hmm.
because it takes us away from having to consume information and to decipher and organize it. And it gives us the opportunity to go back to creating discernment of that information and how it relates to us and each other into the world. How do we take this information that's been stored in all these data warehouses and make sense of it? And that is human discernment coming in because we then apply our empathy, our spirit, our soul to this information and track it from there. That's what I see. That's my theory. So going back to like cost of living, well, perhaps that brings us back into living more in groups.
Well, I love where you're going with that because, as you know, I've healed a big portion of my relationship with AI recently. It does. It organizes thoughts and information based on the person who's providing it and asking the questions, of course. It's very limited to that.
Mm,
Um, but it gives us more time then, doesn't it? If you
mm,
don't need to create the spreadsheet, if you don't need to do it yourself and occupy it, you just say 3 sentences and it does it for you. Hmm. Does it do all the thinking and the analyzing so then we can start to do the feeling, to do the empathizing, to do the relating? So then we're going to have more of the best of all worlds. Oh, architecture. Hey, AI, can you design this building for me? Although I am remembering the book Ubuntu by Michael Tellinger, and one of his things based on his communities that he's built around the world was anytime money's involved or someone thinks they need more than someone else, there's a breakdown in that community itself.
mm.
And so, and the other thing about what you said, if I'm a student, I'm living at home. There's a discrepancy in power when we're talking about that because I'm living with my parents because they have the money and I don't, kind of thing.
Mm.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. Which like there's so many layers to this.
yeah, there
And
is.
and what's coming to mind is trust.
Mm,
Because if I don't trust you, it's because I don't trust myself. So then one of the actions is that I would hoard my resources. I would hoard money. I would
uh,
want more because I don't trust that you would meet what I need. So I need to take care of myself.
mm,
Right. So this whole idea of like nature gives abundantly, but can I only take what I need, not overtake? That's where I get in trouble, right? If everybody here took more than they needed, like we wouldn't nature wouldn't keep up with our pace of taking. Like if we chopped up so much trees more than we need, nature wouldn't have enough time to replenish the trees that we chopped. And looking at an apple tree, right? Man, there's more than enough apples for me, right? Nature already gives abundantly to each man and woman. But what if I like created a business from it and planted thousands of apple trees to sell apples? And that's where the consumption, right? The overconsumption, the greed comes in. And then that's the game that people think we should all be playing. Is this, yeah. this ruthless game of making more money, buying more things and stuff. And that's
Ruthless.
attached to perhaps my worth. Yeah.
Worth. Oh, a couple of keywords there, truth and worth. Um, it reminds me of the falafel trees you were just talking about, all the apple trees and
Oh,
the Dr.
falafel.
Seuss book. Do you remember those colorful, fluffy trees that Dr. Seuss talked about? Um, um, but right. And one other thing that you brought up, I remember there's a really funny meme. There's a hearse, and behind the hearse, there's this U-Haul.
Mm,
And I was like, "Oh, that's funny, right? You can't take money or things with you in your hearse." And so another thing that's coming up for me is legacy. What do people want to leave when they go?
mm,
A lot of people think about legacy being estates and things.
mm,
What if there's a different kind of legacy to leave? And this will bring
mm,
me back to why I'm a little bit sad today, which is my dad. And when families are disrupted or disconnected, and maybe there's an essence of feeling or love or connection or kindness or inner peace that we want to leave behind. And maybe at the end of the game, that's far more valuable because you do take that with you.
mm. Yeah, it goes back to like, how do I make people feel? If I had my funeral and someone came up and asked the people that attended my funeral, what did they remember me by? I can see legacy as being as potent as that, is leaving that impact. Not remembering what I did, but how I made them feel. And I think that's a quote too from someone. Yeah.
I saw a hospital once. People don't remember what you do. They remember how they make you feel.
Yeah. And like I can go about like building monuments and statues of myself, houses and accumulation, but over time, like all that's gonna get eroded away.